Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Career Happy Hour. We are so glad that you are here to join us. We will give everyone a few more minutes to get that alert and come on and jump in. And you know the routine. As you come in, drop in your name, where are you tuning in from, and what are you sipping on for this Hump Day Wednesday? We will get started here in just a little bit, and in the meantime, enjoy the music as you come on in. I know who that is. She doesn't even have to put her name in there. Hey, Sheena Sheen. Hey, Marsha. What are you sipping on, dear? Tell us. And let us know where you're tuning in from. I know, but, we got to let the audience know, too. Hey there, Kimiko, Cuzzy Cuz. Tuning in from Montgomery, Alabama. Loving you, too. Hello, everyone. We are so excited for another episode of Career Happy Hour. Thank you for everyone that is joining us live and commenting and letting us know where you're tuning in from, what you're sipping on. But for those that are tuning into the replay, because we know we have some that have clashes with this time or they have other obligations. So we want to give love to those who are joining in on the replay. So make sure that you put hashtag replay so that we can give you some love in the comments. So we are going to go ahead and get started. We have some loyal audience members. So appreciate you all. We have Nigeria that is tuning in and she's sipping on some sangria. Oh, I love some sangria. And then we also have Marsha, who says that she's sipping on some boring water from Duluth, Georgia. So we're going to talk about some of that boring water, or H2O, as we talk about it here on Career Happy Hour. It is nothing wrong with some H2O in your life. You need it in your life. So grateful for everyone that is joining in. So please make sure that when you put your comments in, just put your name in as well, because, on some platforms, your name doesn't show up. It just shows up as a user. So we want to make sure that we're shouting out those that are engaged with us in the audience. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And if you have seen any of the promos ahead of the show tonight, we have someone who is truly just so amazing, has a beautiful energy, and it's just fantabulous. It just, just all of her essence and everything that she's about, her energy just really drew me to having her and inviting her to be my guest co-host. And I'm so gracious and grateful that she accepted to come along, even though there's a little bit of a time difference here. So just to introduce myself, for those of you who may not know, I am Lashina Recruitalina, your six-figure career brand coach. I am absolutely obsessed with your success. Here at Career Happy Hour, we are here as a community of career professionals and entrepreneurs to help support each other, to lean in on one another, to give tips and advice and nuggets and inspiration and motivation so that we can continue to elevate ourselves and, most of all, to normalize earning six figures. And we talk about six figures here on Career Happy Hour as not just reaching $100,000. Oh, no, no, no. Six figures is all the way up to one digit of $1 million. One digit shy of $1 million is what the span of six figures encompasses. And we want to normalize that. We think that all of us have gifts and talents that really can help you with multiple streams of income, that no matter if you're doing a 9 to 5, if you're doing your own business as an entrepreneur, or you're doing a hybrid of all of that, that we have the ability to normalize earning six figures. So we are so grateful that you're here to join us with another episode of Career Happy Hour. So before I bring on my guest co-host, let me tell you a little bit about her. So she goes by the moniker or the term or the name of Mocktail Mixologist. So, I love the term mixologist anyway, because I talk about being a career mixologist, where I mix up how we think about our career and what that looks like and what that sounds like. And I love that she's doing the same thing with mocktails. And so our guest co-host is really giving us some tricks to non-alcoholic libations, as well as she is dreaming of opening a sober bar. Please put your virtual hands together and welcome to the stage the one, the only, the amazing Nik. Thank you.
Hello. What an incredible introduction. You are the sweetest. Thank you so much. I am just really stoked to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, it is so amazing. We have some claps in the audience. That's what I'm talking about. Give her some love. Give her some love. Nik, you are joining us all the way on the opposite coast of where I am. So tell us a little bit about the weather in your parts of the world today.
So I'm in Los Angeles, California. It's probably just about 80 degrees today. There's a slight breeze, but it's a sunny late spring. We got out of a little bit of a gloomy weather maybe a week or so ago, but we're getting back into the swing of normal Los Angeles weather.
Yes, what LA is known for, or California in general is known for, sunny days in California, which I love and love. I can't wait to get back on that coast because everything about it is just, the energy is just so amazing. And behind you, as we were doing our prep for the show, I was just telling you how jealous I am of your background, which is a real background, you guys. It is not a green screen.
Yeah, this is real. This is a real sober bar, non-alcoholic bar in my what would have been a dining room, but is now a whole setup.
Wow.
With a full-on little fridge for my non-alcoholic beers and mixers and everything else, because it was just taking up too much space in my normal fridge. So this is taken over, and this is this area.
Wow. Well, they'll get to see the full view in a little bit when I take myself out of view and give you front and center stage. So I will let them get that whole view. But I really want to be able to talk a little bit about, as we talk about on Career Happy Hour, your career story, because it's just so amazing to me, the different career stories that people have. And I think, when we meet people and, one of the first things that you ask is, in addition to, what's your name? They ask, what do you do? Yeah. And to me, that is such a loaded question, because anyone who knows me knows that I don't do just one thing. So when you ask me, well, what do you do for a living? It's like, how much time do you have?
Totally.
Can you relate to that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what that story is for you, because you've already talked about bartending. You've talked about let's see, what else did we talk about? I think we talked about some things, but tell us a little bit about, what do you do when when people ask
that
what do
question.
you do?
Sure. So as well as being a veteran bartender in Los Angeles with over 16 years behind the bar, I'm also an elite hairstylist with Ulta Beauty. And I've been with the company now for like almost 6 years. And so it's kind of a loaded question, like you said, because I feel like I have 2 lives, or maybe 3, maybe my personal life, I have my hairstylist life, and I have my Tonix life. And they're all so very important, and they're all in my eyes very successful. So people say, like, how much time do you have? Like, how do you do it? To be honest with you, I couldn't quite tell you. I just am just really motivated. I don't know if you're into astrology or not, but I have a Capricorn moon and rising. And so Capricorns are pretty much known to be very goal driven and very like eye on the prize, like very executive mindset. So I think it just kind of comes with the package. I have to always have my hands busy, So hair has its own little creative personal styling that I love, because you get to see that instant transformation. And then the mocktails, that was something just completely separate with once I decided to stop drinking after so many years behind the bar, and just kind of had a little identity crisis of like, what am I going to do now? Everyone I know is from the bar. Everything I do in my life is in the bar. Every activity I do is like revolved around the bar. I was in bands for years around Los Angeles, playing around bands. So I have so many friends who are like just in that world. So I just didn't quite know what to do. And then saw some article on Facebook. It was some, the trend of sober bars or something. And like all of the light bulbs went off, every single one. Like, oh my God, I can take all of my skills and create like this awesome, like sober space. And March 2020 happened. And so my business planning for that kind of had to take a little bit of a pause. And it turned into me just handcrafting mocktails at home and having that as a creative outlet when I wasn't able to do hair or wasn't able to really like see anybody. And that in turn has turned into now like a non-alcoholic consulting business. And I just opened a non-alcoholic dessert bar on the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, California. And I'm working closely with a Canadian subscription box company creating different recipes and monthly fun bar things for them. So it's kind of just, I think if you put any intention into anything, and if you totally put your heart into something, I really do feel like the universe puts it back. Like you're going to get back anything you put in. If you're putting in the work, you're going to get something back. I don't think you're going to put in the work and nothing's going to happen. That's just, I don't believe that's how it works.
Wow, that is so powerful. Intention is so powerful. And sometimes I think we forget, even those of us who know intention is so powerful, sometimes we forget the actual power that it has when you really focus in and drill in on what it is that you desire and that you believe it in your heart of hearts. The universe, it brings it to you.
100%. You can, if you're hungry and you're sitting on your couch hungry, you're not going to eat until you make food, right? So it's kind of like the same thing. If there's something that you want, you make the steps to go make sure that you're able to do it.
That is so important. And I know that one of our traditions on Career Happy Hour is to talk about what we are sipping on. So This is one of my famous glasses because I love glasses. And this one says Shoe Lover, which I am.
Okay, cool.
So what about you? What are you drinking on?
Okay, so I actually made myself a non-alcoholic old fashioned. So this is made with a non-alcoholic spirit of bourbon made by Free Spirits. And they are up in Marin County, which is like Northern California. And it's a bourbon-like non-alcoholic spirit. When I first heard about non-alcoholic spirits, I literally was like mind blown. I'm sorry. I live across the street from a fire station. So this happens.
But is this part of the way that
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Los Angeles living for you. But they're loaded with like B vitamins and taurine, so it like helps with like mood enhancement. You need a mood enhancement when you live across the street from this. Let me tell you. So so I use that as my base, and then also I made it super simple, so anyone at home could make something like this if they were interested. But also, this is a tart cherry superfood that's made as a cocktail mixer. I mean, you could definitely use this with a cocktail at normal spirit. I use it with a non-alcoholic spirit, but it's a superfood. So you literally just mix that with your non-alcoholic bourbon. I have like a Luxardo cherry in there and a little bit of an orange rind. And it's my little happy hour, old fashioned, but superfood with nutrients.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. It's delicious too. Got that tart cherry, smoky flavors. Oh, it's delicious.
So superfoods. Now, I've heard of superfoods, and because I've, gone through my own journey from a nutritional standpoint, because as most people know that I'm a surviving breast cancer. I'm a breast cancer survivor. And so superfoods is one of the things that, as I was working through my nutritionist, that was really important in getting those nutrients to your cells. So share with us a little bit about how did you even think about superfoods with
oh my gosh
cocktails?
Oh, this company, which I just love that people make things like this, because if you're making something at home, I mean, this is made to go with a cocktail. I personally think, that might be a wash, but it has like antioxidants and vitamins and all kinds of other things in it. So, vitamins do kind of taste good sometimes, right? So, or they just kind of pump that up, and it's all naturally sourced. It's cane sugar. It's nothing too crazy. But it helps. I think what else is in here? Oh, they're just like juice and vitamins, electrolytes and that kind of thing. And just things that we probably should find a way to get into our diet.
Mm-hmm.
A nice flavorful way to do that. So any like creative way to then implement more vitamins into my diet, I'm very much excited for, because I love cookies. So like cookies would be like my diet of choice, but you got to do what you got to do.
Right. Wow, that is so interesting. Okay, so we're gonna take back the wheels of time, as they say. So
sure.
You talked about, what you're doing now, which sounds absolutely so amazing and intriguing. All of my curiosity synapses are going off like, ooh, that's cool. But before we do that,
sure,
let's go back. And, when you were growing up and people ask, well, what is it that you want to do when you grow up? Is this what you had in mind, or is this what you talked about?
That's, I think they're related in a sense, but it's not what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to be on Broadway.
Oh,
that's what I wanted to do. I was in musical theater, and I absolutely love musical theater. But in musical theater, I would also do everyone's makeup. I would do everyone's hair. So I would be on behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. Mm-hmm. And I just had so much fun performing. And I think as time kind of went on, and I knew in my heart that like going to beauty school was like my plan B, Mm-hmm. And when I hit 28, after like years of bartending, doing burlesque, performing in bands, and just all of the fun things, this little like switch went off, and like, well, what are you going to do? You're 28. You didn't go to like any tap or ballet classes. Like, how do you think, you haven't even been to New York. So how do you think you're going to be on Broadway, Nick? What are you going to do? So I was like, yeah, okay, it is what it is. So I actually went to beauty school. Now, regardless of if that was like my plan B or not, like, I think I had to go through all of those steps to get to where I was to even go to cosmetology school. I think all of those incidences and all of those things that I've learned along the way really helped paved who I am right now and what that means for Tonix and my sober bar stuff, because all of those people that I met in that time period and all the skill I learned by bartending and working in karaoke bars and breweries and all of the above, and just kind of putting it all together. I think, being into musical theater helped the performance level of that, and being in bands and even being able to feel comfortable enough to speak on camera. Had I not had those skills, I might not be able to do or promote myself in a way where I'm able to feel comfortable enough speaking to people that I don't know, right? Because that could be kind of frightening and scary for people. I know plenty of people who are super talented, but just can't go on screen, and it's hard. So I think all of those things kind of are super related.
I think that's a great point for our audience to remember too, is that just because we're doing something at this moment in time doesn't mean that that's our destination. But many times it's the layer that needs to happen, almost like a cake. If you think of a cake, that many times it has layers to a cake, and the cake can't be finished until you have those different layers. And so, with our life and our career, that many times we have to go through things to learn from that will then help us be better at what we ultimately end up doing.
Absolutely.
And that's what I heard you say.
Absolutely. We always learn from our mistakes. I think our mistakes and then our choices kind of make us make better choices and decisions on how we shape what we decide to do. Tonix wouldn't be a thing if I didn't screw up drinking all the time. Tonix wouldn't have happened if I wasn't just, screwing off being a bartender and just dancing around singing songs all over Los Angeles. Like, a lot of these things wouldn't have happened had I not had those experiences. So it's definitely mindset and how you think about it. You could be like, well, I did all these like horrible things, or, I didn't do anything. I mean, luckily, I didn't like end up in jail or anything like that. But you think about the time wasted, right? Oh, it was all this time wasted because now I'm like going to be turning 40 and just starting to do all this now, right? So like, oh, I wasted all the time. I could have got an MBA. I could have gone to school. I could have done this, coulda. But I truly feel like every single one of those moments brought me to that life experience on where you are today,
And the only other thing that I'll say to that is that sometimes people who are in those transitional moments, that if their attitude isn't positive, then they end up not growing at the rate that they could grow. If they're, they become disgruntled and they're like, why am I doing this? I'm better than this. Like, this sucks. All of those things is just really shortening your time to get to where you ultimately need and want to be. But the more positive you are, and that's one of the reasons where I'm so complimentary of people when I interact with them. And maybe it's that I realize that that's not their final destination with their career. They're doing it just as a transitional thing, but they love it. So you can't tell that that's not what they love doing, because it shows in their energy. It shows in their personality and just what they're giving out. And those are the ones that are going to really fast track to that.
Totally.
Would you say that's kind of happened to you?
Yeah, and I think you make a really valid point. I think that sometimes, but if someone is feeling negative, or if they're feeling a lot of like pushback, then maybe that isn't the right path. Like, I really feel like sometimes you're going too hard against the grain. I think there is a true point where, in your heart, you're just trying to make something work that's not going to. And I think but it's all about being right and honest with yourself. Like, are you doing it because you really want to do it, or are you doing it because you want to prove to somebody else that you can do it? Are you really doing it because this is something you want to do, or is this because someone told, like, what is the motive? And I think you can't fake that to the universe. You can't fake motive to the universe. And that goes with anything in life. So, and it's okay to fail. You know what I mean? It's okay to feel those things, and it's okay to have that pivot, because you don't know if by that it projects you somewhere completely else, So it's just kind of just being aware, like a lot of self-awareness.
We have a comment from the audience. A lot of times we get stuck in our own heads and our own way. Sometimes it is fear. You're so right. I've heard so many people talk about getting comfortable, especially when they talk about a career. They get comfortable, and then they don't want to even think about anything outside of that, because it's the fear of the unknown, or I got to do something different. But then that's when you really need to make sure you're shaking it up, because otherwise you might be forced out versus you going on your own free will. So those are really, really powerful things. And then Kimiko, she chimes in. She says, so very true. Yes, it is all so important for us to remember, because sometimes it's easy to get comfortable because not a lot of us like change. But like you said, Nik, it's about also knowing where and when to pivot. And how many of us have had to pivot over the last year or so? I've heard you talk about that. You were actually looking at having a storefront you were talking about, and you had to pivot.
Yeah, I mean, the universe stopped the whole world from doing stuff, that's for sure. So it was not any use of my own, but it was actually kind of, I can't even think of the right word, but instead of worrying about my business plan at that time, the universe put a pause on the entire world. So there wasn't, I'm not going to open a sober bar when that can't even be, till this day, that kind of business cannot be open in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Over a year later, right? So it forced me to do a lot of inner work, a lot of stuff that I wasn't doing because I was busy bartending and doing hair and, being available for everybody else, so it was the first time that I was able to work on whatever was projecting my emotions onto things, or why I was reacting certain ways to certain things. So I think that's also really important too, is being kind of correct with yourself, coming correct,
Wow, that is so important. And then with you being a hairstylist, or you weren't able to do that, right, for a while, but now you're back.
Now we're back.
Yeah.
Now we're back. But there was a lot of back and forth. But we've been back. So far, so good. So we've been back. But it was actually, I mean, it's a hard thing to talk about because there was so much devastation for a lot of people. But there was a silver lining, I think, for a lot of people that were able to have that pause and have that moment and to work on things and rethink things and really decide on what's truly important, and I think a lot of people, even that were in jobs before, that had to stop working, whether they were in the food and beverage industry or whatever industry that they were in, that they weren't allowed to work anymore. I think a lot of people found new things that they were interested in. They're like, oh, I've always wanted to have a candle company. I always wanted to woodwork, or, and then they finally had the time to do it. And it was literally the universe kind of being like, okay, what are you going to do? It's sink, swim, fight, flight. It's how are you going to pivot? What feels right for your soul? And I think a lot of people took that opportunity and really saw the silver lining for what it was,
And I'm such a silver lining kind of girl. So you're talking my language right now. And this show, I'm sure, probably wouldn't be here had we not been in this situation that we're in. It really, because I never thought about doing a virtual show before. And it's, I know a lot of people don't think of me being an introvert, but I am an undercover introvert is what I call it. So it, being able to have this platform is such I'm so grateful for it, but I really don't think that I would have been here of actually having a show had I not thought about, okay, what else can I do to still be able to connect with people and build a community? And I did a pivot, like you said.
That's awesome. That's so cool. It's so cool. And there's so many people here that support you and this happy hour, and it's just really, really, really cool to see. I'm so happy that you reached out to me and that we became connected, and I'm just super grateful that you had me.
Yes, I am too. And the more that you talk, because we literally, for anyone else who's tuning in, we've never spoken live before, which up to this point, for the most part, all of my guest co-hosts I know personally or that I've talked
Oh,
to some
wow.
degree. And
Wow.
you're the first of hopefully many more to come that this was the first time that we actually met other than just chatting, messaging on Messenger. And so this is really awesome to be able to connect with people, genuine people, and not sketchy people, because there's
Yeah.
plenty of that on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of that on social media. But the more that you talk, the more I can tell why my energy was just so drawn to you, because of all of the things that you're talking about. It's so in sync. So Tonix, let's unpack that a little bit, because that's how I really came in contact with you and what you're about, because of your great post and your energy and your beautiful drinks and just your reels that you put out there. So for anyone who's on the show, please make sure that you go and follow Nik on Tonix.Mocktails, and it's strolling across the bottom. So please make sure you go on Insta and follow her. She has such amazing content. But you've given us a little bit of some hints along the way, but where did Tonix start? Where did this idea come from?
Yeah. So there was this, I have to go back to probably December or so 2019, and there was an article circling around Facebook about this new movement of sober bars, and they had mentioned a few people. Some kind of just looked like a rec room and somewhere, but when I read it, I instantly saw exactly what I wanted to see. I instantly saw a beautiful mocktail lounge, like a 1920s kind of, I don't know, like a gypsy seducing the Great Gatsby kind of alluring, sexy vibe with handcrafted mocktails. I saw a stage, I saw food, I saw it all. And it was kind of in that moment that I just kind of knew that's what I wanted to do. And that was December of 2019. January 2020, I started ferociously working on a business plan, jumped on, went on LegalZoom, did everything I could. And I just knew that this was going to happen. And there was a lot of people that I knew who work in recovery and work in treatment centers and that sort of thing, that would get me in the right hands of people that potentially would want to invest into something like this. So I wanted the business plan to be Disney good. I wanted the business plan to open. I wanted you to smell what the restrooms would smell like. I want you to see what the menu looks like, the colors, the sounds, 3D renderings, the whole 9 yards. And as I was working like a mad woman doing this, a few months later came March 2020. And it didn't stop the dream by any means. But there was just no way to really think about something that could not exist, right? So speaking of the pivot for me was, okay, well, what can I do? And that took a chance for me to kind of do some inner work and to get more into why I wanted to do a sober bar. That's a huge story all in itself. And being a bartender for over 16 years and understanding what a bar means to people. It's not just a place where people drink. It's not just a place where people get drunk. It's a place where people meet. It's a place where people feel safe. They feel home. It's their family. It's their friends. It's their social outlet. I spoke to a lot of my regulars at the bar that I work at. And when I told them my idea, I thought it was going to be immediately met with negativity and how stupid, a bar with no booze. That sounds ridiculous. But to be honest with you, every single one of them was basically begging me to open. like, open it like now, please, like open it now, because they didn't want to drink. They all came to me with different stories about how they didn't want to be there every night. They didn't want to have to come to the bar, or they would be nice where they told themselves they wouldn't go, but they would get bored or didn't want to be home, and then they'd end up at the bar. So it was to open a place for people who want better things from life but have nowhere else to go, you know, creating this social community of people by doing good. And I definitely want to work with treatment and rehab centers, so when people want to rehabilitate their life, I can give them new job skills by working in the kitchen or working in the soundboard, you know, and just creating this culture, not just a bar with no booze, but a culture of people that have this place to go, and a safe place without, you know, the pressures of alcohol, not the pressures of drugs, because I've seen it, you know, almost 20 years working in a bar, and I know I'm on a happy hour, but sometimes it's not the greatest thing by the end of the night, right? We've all been there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And, so I just want to create a space where that kind of thing will happen, but just have all of the bar, none of the BS. That's how I say it. You know, all of the drinks without the consequences. So you can still have, you know, an old fashioned, but I'm not going to black out later. And I'm so excited about that. You know what I mean? I just like, and when I first stopped drinking, got to be honest with you, like, I didn't think I was going to just stop drinking forever. I literally just needed a break. And I was like, you know what, if I go on vacation or go to like Ireland, I'll have a Guinness. If I go to Greece, I'll have wine. But then once I realized that there were all of these options, like, I don't even need it anymore. So it's just kind of pulling from all of these places, and I could literally talk for hours upon hours upon hours about it. But
yeah, you're definitely educating us. You're educating me. So I don't know how many who else in the audience has ever heard of this, but I have never heard of this until, of course, I came across your Instagram, and I didn't know it to this extent, the way that you're explaining it, that it's a whole experience in itself. And that's just so amazing. And that's part of the reason why I came up with the name Career Happy Hour, because, you know, when we think of happy hour, we don't necessarily think of, oh, I'm going for drinks. We're going to happy hour to actually get to know people, network, be able to talk to people about what's going on, and exchange ideas. And so that's the experience that I want people to get out of Career Happy Hour, that they can still come together. We can be a community. We can be there for each other. And yet we talk about career type of things, and not just career meaning your 9 to 5, but your career is anything that's related to your health, your finances, you know, how, you know, the kinds of houses you live in, the kind of cars you drive. All of that is intertwined with what you do to make money, which is ultimately what your career is, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if it's that you are, you know, a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad, that's still your career, because that's how you're contributing to money coming into the household. And so that's where I talk about mixing up how we think about our career, and you are mixing up how we think about drinking, which I think is so cool.
Oh, cool. I'm glad it's welcomed. I'm super glad it's welcome.
Yeah, Nigeria said that she said that she hasn't ever heard of this either, because I think, you know, and I share a little bit with this about this with you, and I know with this with the audience in the past, I've shared that I love the experience of drinking. Not that it's necessarily that I'm drinking something alcoholic. Even when I was pregnant with my son, I would go out to restaurants and I would have water in a wine glass, and I would get eyes that just were piercing me, as if, you know, just trying to give me that slap on the hand. I mean, they did that too because I wore heels while I was pregnant, but, you know, again, I'm a whole experience here. Like, I wear my heels, and I want to have the experience of drinking, but not necessarily that I'm trying to get drunk or that I'm trying to get tipsy. It's just that it's something about that experience, like you say, just being able to mix and mingle with people and have that camaraderie and that friendship and that family that, you know, you don't always get everywhere. Now, we had a question from the audience about will you be making a a tonic live for us? I didn't even I love that.
I mean, I could probably like whip up something real quick. I probably could, totally.
Well, you can think about it. And then another question, is she still going to open up the solar bar? No, I think maybe sober bar, or is that still on pause?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. So it's a little on pause because like wanting to get the business plan done to the level that I want it done, it's going to take a lot of work. I have been trying to get my logo finalized since February. What? It's June. Yes. The
struggle is real.
It is. I went on Fiverr, which was I hear it could be great and it could not be great. So I did a lot of things. It was kind of a thing. I might be finalizing it with a graphic designer right now, which I'm really excited about. So that'll be great. But it's just like those little things, right? It's like, I just need my logo and it's been since February. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be like, okay, yeah, I'm doing it now. And then realize I don't want to rush anything. So definitely it's in the future for sure. In the meantime, I am working a lot with the different non-alcoholic brands, which has been a lot of fun because there's actually a statistic that came out that by the year 2023, which is like tomorrow, it's going to be an over $30 billion industry, which is insane. So I live, eat, breathe this. Obviously, I totally changed my home into a sober bar for filming IG lives and very similar things like this. I live, eat, breathe it, and I can barely keep up with it. So it's pretty exciting. A lot of the big players are coming to the table. So a lot of those big brands, I mean, Tanqueray Gin just released their 0.0 gin. It's available in the UK and Spain right now. It hasn't quite come over to the US. Actually, Europe is light years ahead of us in this game. There's a non-alcoholic bar in Dublin, Ireland called the Virgin Mary Bar. When I found that, my mind blew. There's non-alcoholic Belgian beer. Again, mind blown. So they're just like really advanced in that category. So it's just kind of really cool to see a lot of this stuff kind of come to light. And they're also really amazing options. There's a couple options that when they first came out, they're like, okay, well, that was cute. But now that more people know that there's a need for it, which I think, at least for me in Tonix, is breaking the stigma of what it means not to drink. I think for a long time, and even up until recently, if you didn't drink, it was because you were an addict and in rehab, or there was some kind of stigma against this like sober addict kind of notion. And it kind of got me a little weirded out when I first stopped drinking because I wasn't really identifying with that per se, and now come to find out there's so many reasons why people aren't drinking, mostly for health reasons. Given what we have gone through the past year, a lot of health things people aren't able to drink, or there's a lot of spiritual reasons for not being able to connect to a higher source and having a lower vibrational. That's another reason. Pregnancy, religion, or plenty of reasons. We don't really necessarily even need to discuss why those reasons are, but the fact that these options are here. And to add, I know I keep talking about this forever, but a lot of this stuff is like sugar free. So, like a lot of times we think like, oh, well, mocktails, it's just all sugar or whatever. But a lot of them have like no calories, sugar free. Like I know you highlighted the Sexy AF, right? So Sexy AF, I love them. But they're like, let's see, alcohol-free, allergen-free, gluten-free, plant-based, sugar-free, no artificial flavors, kosher, vegan. So it like literally checks off all the boxes, and they have multiple different flavors. So it makes the options pretty sweet. Like they just released their spiced rum. So spiced rum. So I know a lot of times people will stop kind of drinking because of like calories and that kind of thing, cutting calories. So you could actually have like a spiced rum and not have the calories. So it's kind of like stuff like that it gets me super excited about. So these are just like really cool options.
Oh, that is amazing. I'm so glad that you showed the sexy AF. That I love the name of that. Yes. Nigeria had an interesting comment / maybe question. Maybe this is a comment. It's the habit of wanting something in your hand to sip on. LOL.
Yeah.
I can see that perspective. That, to me, it is about the experience. Like, I love just having a cool glass to drink out of, no matter what I have in the glass. But just that I loved how you said it, Nik. You said, what did you say? You said Disney good. Like, when you think of Disney, everything is an experience. Mm-hmm. You are, all of your stimuli is engaged, your emotions are engaged, your feelings are engaged. Just seeing something Disney in any kind of memorabilia, it takes you to a place of, oh, I remember this. That's the experience part of it. So I love how I made that a hashtag, Disney good.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. But she's absolutely right. I think that was into talking about the water and the wine glass situation, because there is something celebratory about having something to celebrate with. And if you're having, like, if you are out to dinner with like your friends or family, or you're out to something, like, why should you then be left out or feel left out if you're not a part of that, So it kind of brings that to a whole new light. I was a very big tiki person, like tiki beverages, tiki bars, tiki events, and that kind of thing. And so that's a very booze-driven culture, And so part of what I'm trying to do as well is make a booze-free tiki situation where using elements like this, or hand making different syrups, and being able to have all of that flavor and all of the fun, because a lot of the tiki stuff is like fun, right? So I don't want to be left out just because I don't drink rum. So
I have another admirer of that label. So that says, OMG, I love that name, Sexy AF. And I know this is not necessarily something that you're a distributor of, but you found kind of the best of the best to make the experience of the mocktails that you want. But if someone is interested in those that you recommend, how would you suggest that they go about doing that? Go down your Instagram.
Oh yeah, awesome. I have on my Instagram for sure if anything looks fun. If you are interested in Sexy AF, I believe you can use Tonix, TONIX 20, and I'll give you 20% off.
Ooh. I'll put that in the chat.
Tonix 20 will give you 20% off. So that's really cool. There's also a company, an online company called Better Roads, and that's RHODES. And Better Roads is kind of like an online marketplace that has all the different brands and different non-alc beers and non-alc wines, non-alc champagnes, and all of that kind of stuff. So instead of having to go to every individual website, because a lot of them will be direct distributing, like you can just go to the website, but you can go and then you get, they carry most of these brands. So that way you can kind of like pick around and see what kind of works best for you. So there's an online community on there I'm a part of as well, making different mocktails. So you can kind of see what kind of, if you're interested, or if that is something that you are interested in that maybe you might want to try. So yeah.
Awesome. And for the 20% off, so what website would they go to for that? Is that the one that you were giving us, or?
Yeah, I believe that one was for Sexy AF. And I think you can just look, I believe it's just sexyafspirits.com, but let's just, sexyafspirits.com.
Okay. Awesome. We'll put that in there.
And if you're on social media, they're all over social media. They have a lot of fun TikToks and stuff. They kind of keep on top of their social media, so it's fun. And they have a lot of examples of what they like as well.
Wow. We have a lot of entrepreneurs, or what I call dualpreneurs, where they work a 9 to 5 and they're still building their business. And social media is one of those things that, it's always a bit of a challenge, right? Because it takes that creativity, it takes that consistency, and you are rocking it and knocking it out of the park. So what advice would you give our other entrepreneurs in the room about social media?
I would say it is important and it is a lot of work. It gets easier the more you do it. If it's not a language that you currently speak, luckily, if you are on such platforms as TikTok or Instagram, TikTok actually is a very big and educational platform. I know it's not just people doing weird cringy dances. It actually has a lot of education. And if you type in hashtag small business or hashtag, something that you're super interested in, there's a lot of people on there that are actually helping small business and entrepreneurs on how to make better Instagram stories, how to create more traffic, how to, your SEOs and all of the things that you would need for maybe your Etsy shop or for your website. So there's a lot of good tools on there. Just be prepared that it is a lot of work, but it pays off when you're on top of it. I really feel that, especially in this day and age where everyone is on their phone and everyone is on these apps, and that's where the business drives from. I've seen people post how their TikTok engagement was their sole way of how people got to their Etsy store, and they would post how much they had done from 1 month to the next just from doing their proper TikTok content. So I think if that's something that you're doing, it's so important. And being an entrepreneur, I'm working with somebody right now in Canada, and he's not sober. He still drinks, but he's doing this non-alcoholic subscription box because he sees that the business is booming. He sees what's happening. Canada's a little far behind us. US is a little more ahead of Canada as far as what options are available, but he's trying to get up on it because he knows, I see a trend, I see something happening. And so it depends on how you are in your own entrepreneurial stuff. If you're an entrepreneur who sees a trend and knows how to monopolize or capitalize on it, then go for it. I don't really think there's anything wrong with that if that's how you operate. I operate more of creative and heart. I don't, statistics and numbers and that kind of thing is not really my forte. I just kind of go with it with my full heart. But
if you're not on social branding yourself, you are missing out on so much. And I know we talked about it from an entrepreneur perspective, because that's usually the mindset that most people think of when they think being on social media equates to being an entrepreneur. But I'm telling you, regardless of what your business is, it could be your business is your 9 to 5, which I definitely coach people that you should treat your 9 to 5 job as your business, because you're the business of you. Mm-hmm. And branding yourself as an industry expert in what you do. Even though you may not have anything to sell, that's even better, because you're really giving information more so than expecting a return on that immediately. Now, it'll still yield you ROI, but maybe not as immediate, because you don't really have anything to transact. There's no transaction there.
Totally. So, oh my gosh. I've seen so many TikToks like that too, of people who they're more or less giving advice, and they're going through their life experience. They're showing different ways and they're staying on top of it. And through that, they've grown their business to I don't know, hundreds of thousands of followers or whatever. Then with that, then comes monetization as well. So really just be true to who you are. And if you can talk about even finance or any people want to learn. and that this is the way that they're learning now.
Are you at the same handle on TikTok as you are on Insta?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's great. I really believe in being consistent in your handles across platforms. And the latest trend is Clubhouse. What's your take on Clubhouse?
So I was doing some stuff with Clubhouse with a group of people from like the non-alcoholic world or like the sober world or whatever. It's not my thing. I know maybe people like it or whatever, but I don't know if I'm just like too ADHD. I need to be doing too many things at the same time that like just listening. It's essentially like listening to a podcast that you can kind of talk in sometimes, so it's not necessarily my thing, but people really like it.
You should totally have a club on this topic, though. This would be so cool that you have a room on educating people about all of this. But, sometimes we have to build up,
Yeah.
Build it up.
This is why I can't do it. It's these guys. This is why I can't be talking all the time, because these guys are nonstop.
Wow, they keep busy, right?
All day, every day. I have to remind myself that like if they're doing all that someone's having a worse day than me, and that's the only way that keeps it cool. I mean, I've been here over 10 years and like
wow. Well, Nik, believe it or not, our time is ticking away. We're almost at the very end of our hour. These hours just go by so fast, and you have just brought us so many amazing nuggets, but also information, I think, that a lot of us just haven't thought about before. And so we so appreciate you being here and sharing the virtual stage with this stranger from Instagram that just pinged you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking I'd be a great fit for your show, and I feel honored, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
This has been absolutely amazing. I'm sure you're going to get some followers after this and some more likes and comments about some of your amazing drinks. And although we didn't have time today, then we've got to have you back, so then you can definitely give us demonstrations.
Yes, let me know. And then also my DMs are always open, so if anyone ever has questions or wants to know something, like, please feel free to just message me.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. It's been amazing to have you. So we are at the end of another hour, you all. And, it's just always amazing to get together with our community to help support each other, to give you information that maybe you hadn't even thought about researching, or that just may not come in your realm or your circle of community or friends. Again, I want to mix it up, give you some things that you hadn't even thought about. And so hopefully you've been able to gain lots and lots of information and value from our discussion tonight. Really appreciate you being here. Again, if you're catching the replay, make sure you put #replay in the comments, because we want to see and love seeing your engagement in the comments. So we are at the end of another hour. We so appreciate you being here for Career Happy Hour. I am your host, Lashina Recruitalina, your six-figure career brand coach. I am here to absolutely make sure that you are successful in anything and everything that your heart desires. I want you to be able to stay recruitable, visible, and profitable, because we are around here normalizing six figures. And how do we do that? By making sure that you are rocking your oomph. Thank you again for being here for another episode of Career Happy Hour. And we will see you again next week, same day, same time, but we're putting a little bit of twist on the location. So you got to tune in to see what that's going to be. So see you later, and have an amazing rest of